What about the neighboring countries and anything that you may have had interactions with regard to how they're feeling about this? And again, like Germany's a few states or countries removed there.
2 countries. It's
Right.
basically one country in between. It's Poland.
Right.
And then you go next to Ukraine. So
Right.
it's one country in between.
Right.
The neighbors, they are fucking afraid.
I would be too.
Because we know that Russia won't stop. They may not like take Ukraine and go to Poland next.
Mm-hmm.
The Russians are thinking in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. So first off, the situation in Europe is also destabilizing in terms of politics. Like the same thing as in the States is happening with the left and the right, like really drifting apart, like in a kind of way I've never seen that how it is right now in the US, like with the so-called liberals, and the Republicans drifting apart to positions where they can't even speak.
It's crazy. So let's go back to where it is in Europe. That way, you're saying it's the same thing.
It's the same. It's the same.
What are the principal things that are creating this? Are they the exact same things?
It's the same thing. Like I think it's a cultural thing because we're getting like face-to-face social media, and social media always wants like provocative teases, and there are for sure issues that both sides address that are there. Like there's an immigration issue, and at least in Europe there is one. It's not about those guys that are in Europe and working and are here for generations or whatever. That's not an issue. But I mean, like the refugee crisis could have been handled better. Like I would never say like, okay, you're coming from a country at war, move away. I would never say that, but I would say, okay, you can stay for a certain amount of time.
Right, there has to be some right and left parameters.
Exactly, and then you can go, and then you can go back. So that's a really important point, and like both failures on both sides get exploited by the other side, and they're drifting apart.
Got it.
And I think Russia is not sad about that.
Oh, I'm sure they're not.
Yeah, they're not. Like Russia is not sad about what's happening because right now I feel like both America and the EU are on its weakest point when it comes to moral cohesion. Like I don't know, like a few decades ago, like liberals and conservatives, they could talk. There had been guys like, I mean, he also wasn't the best politician, but Schwarzenegger, for example, who in some kind of way had positions from both sides.
You're right about that.
Yeah.
That didn't make everybody happy, but he was able to balance it.
Yeah.
A little better than the current dude.
Yeah. So it happened, and politics are related to talking to each other in some kind of way. Otherwise, we just drift apart.
I struggle with this one, and just kind of watching what's happening on our own home front and feeling like we're very vulnerable.
Yeah.
And then I see stuff going on over there with regard to like Poland as an example. And I kind of feel like somehow the US is very, very similar. Like there's these things happening not too far. This is not like doomsday, like conspiracy theory stuff.
No, it's not. It's like there's so many stuff that can happen in the US, be it the Balkanization thing, be it really like not tomorrow, not next year, not in 10 years, but maybe an invading force assembling somewhere in South or Central America with states falling apart, the defensive system falling apart. And I think this is also, to close the circle, what's driving a lot of people towards preparation and showing those people the right way to do it, like not getting weird and trying to rise up against the government.
Yeah, concoct some story about who's out, the boogeyman who's out to get you.
Exactly. Like that's not the thing. Just be out there, be prepared, know a bit of stuff.
Right.
Like it's not that people will if something like that happens, will get recruited because they have seen the most Red Beard tactic stories.
Right.
That's not a thing. But as I say, like, knowledge never hurts. And most people, I think, especially in the tactical community, or a lot of people, are not the kind of guys that will be if something like that happens.
Yeah, that
on the forefront.
Yeah, just slow your roll, bro.
I've been to Ukraine and I've seen those guys that are forming those militia units, volunteer units. Those are guys straight out of jail. Yeah, those are the types of guys I worked with as a bouncer. Those are the types of guys that you see on the forefront because they know violence. They are pretty well adjusted to that. And those are the guys. They don't know what a plate carrier is. They don't know that. They just tell them it will protect you. Okay, I wear it. Simple as that. And but having a few force multipliers amongst the population is not a bad idea.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So there's also that stuff like, I want to try to somewhat normalize that, but we can't normalize that if people are making up weird conspiracy theories.
Shouting it from the rooftop?
Yeah, shouting it from the rooftop.
Such a distraction.
Yeah, and saying like, the government is all evil. Like, everyone working for the government is evil. That's not the way to approach this. That's not a mature approach.
No, it's not at all, and it doesn't. I think you said it before. It doesn't solve anything.
No.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't solve anything. If you want to train it without any political ideas behind it.
Right.
You will be way better, and also build up real communities, and don't think about some internet modern Minuteman community that's not existing. Like, go to a fucking MMA gym, meet people, and maybe bring them into shooting.
Right.
Bring them into shooting. Those are the people you can motivate to go shoot.
Right.
Those are the people you need, and not having some very isolated personalities.
Right.